We are kicking off today with Raw, and CM Punk kicked things off in Boston's TD Garden by taking shots at Seth Rollins, telling Seth that he'll give him that free wrestling lesson he's wanted for years. Punk said there won't be enough staples to put Rollins back together when he's done with him, and discussed last week's confrontation, which Punk wasn't happy with. Punk likened Rollins to his other recent rival Drew McIntyre, and questioned whether Seth thought he was tough enough to do what the Scottish Warrior could not. Rollins arrived through the crowd after Punk initiated some CM Punk chants, saying that these chants usually bring Rollins out, and that was certainly the case. Punk was relieved not hearing Rollins' stupid music and said Seth belonged in the crowd with the other Punk fans before labeling Rollins a failed version of himself. Just because Rollins wears Elton John glasses doesn't make him Elton John, Punk added, while Seth said he wasn't ashamed with who he is or his career. Rollins said that when CM Punk left and wanted to burn WWE to the ground, it was he who put the company on his back and made it bigger than ever, and before long, a brawl ensued. Security were needed to separate the two, and a war of words that preceded it had enough buzzwords and digs to get responses from the crowd. The brawl itself was spectacularly shot and executed, and this segment makes Punk vs. Rollins feel as hot as any program in WWE today. The feud between the two continues to ramp up, not for a showdown at WrestleMania or even the Royal Rumble, but rather for the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. Adam Pearce confirmed the match for the January 6th show in a backstage segment, and who do you think should win and why? Let us know down in the comments. Drew McIntyre was on Raw and exchanged a few words with Seth Rollins, the latter of whom took issue with Drew recently targeting Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. McIntyre recalled Rollins telling him to forget his issues with CM Punk, only for Seth to now understand the feeling, and even suggested the pair form an alliance. After Punk vs. Rollins was announced, Jackie Redmond attempted to get a few words from Seth, but a backstage fight interrupted the proceedings. Sami Zayn was seen attacking Drew McIntyre backstage, setting up a Saturday night's main event rematch for next week's episode of Raw. Next week's Raw was taped in advance, and if you don't want to be spoiled, please skip the next 90 seconds of this video. During the taping, Zayn once again came up short against McIntyre, putting Sami's win-loss record at 0-18-1. That one is a no-contest result the pair shared during a lumberjack match during the April 22, 2022 edition of SmackDown, the closest Zayn has gotten to not losing to Drew. Footage of McIntyre's latest win has not yet been shared online, and their match took place after Drew cut a promo for next week's taping for Raw that was interrupted by Zayn. Jey Uso returned during the show to take out McIntyre, but that wasn't enough for Zayn to finally get a win over the Scottish Warrior. After the match, Jey got a level of revenge for previously being ambushed by Drew by delivering a post-match spear, but in a surprise, the Bloodline appeared to take Sami and Jey out. It was certainly a surprise to see Solo Sikoa and his allies aid Drew, especially as McIntyre is on a revenge tour and Solo Sikoa is on his list of targets. It was Sikoa's intervention that led to McIntyre not winning the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at Clash of the Castle 2022, WWE's first major PLE in the UK in over 3 decades. The other names on Drew's list are Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Roman Reigns, and McIntyre is likely saving the OTC for last. On this week's SmackDown, which has also been taped in advance, McIntyre confronted the Bloodline, but was attacked by Jimmy Uso, who is on Drew's list. It'll be interesting to see where McIntyre and his feud goes from here, as the former WWE champion is only getting started with those who have wronged him in the past. Back to this week's Raw, and Drew McIntyre was attacked by Sami Zayn backstage, with this ambush taking place during Jackie Redmond's interview with Seth Rollins. What fans may have noticed, though, is that McIntyre was making a beeline to Seth before being cut off by the former Intercontinental Champion. Now, this raises 2 possibilities, the first of which being that McIntyre was going to speak with Rollins and make his case again for the pair possibly forming an alliance. After all, the Scottish Warrior had broached the idea earlier in the show, as he feels he and Rollins can unite over their mutual disdain over a certain best in the world. The other possibility, though, is that McIntyre was set to attack Seth and would have succeeded if not for Sami Zayn's intervention at the last second. If so, this opens up a possible McIntyre vs. Rollins feud, which proved to be an excellent feud earlier this year over the World Heavyweight Championship. Without a title, though, these two have the chance to get even more personal, though an explanation would be needed for why Drew went from possible allies to enemies so quickly. It's small details like this that have helped define Triple H's creative era and raises questions and intrigue into what's to come in the future. Well, what do you think? Was McIntyre going to speak with Seth, or did the Scotsman have more violent ideas in mind for Rollins? Give your thoughts and feedback in the comments section. Backstage, Jackie Redmond began an interview with The New Day, who claimed they were the subject of biased journalism, but a loud commotion in the background interrupted matters. Redmond brushed them off to capture the Pure Fusion Collective's assault on Kairi Sane as the group jammed the Japanese superstar's hand into a production crate. Before the main event of Raw, a tease aired with Zero prominently featured before it turned into a no sign, presumably signaling the arrival of Penta El Cero Miedo. Penta recently wrapped up his time with AEW after being kept out of action for months, while his brother Rey Fenix isn't expected to be allowed to leave until well into 2025. It's been known for some time that WWE has had its eyes on the Lucha Bros, and could this tease be for anybody other than Penta? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The main event of Raw saw Finn Bálor and Jade McDonagh put the World Tag Team titles on the line against the War Raiders, with the rest of the Judgment Day being barred from ringside. The champions controlled the pace throughout the match and thwarted a late match fury by the Raiders, but Ivar was able to break up a pinfall off Balor's coup de grace. This kept the challengers in the hunt, and Joe Tessitore even put over Ivar as a New England native, giving the Raiders' pursuit of the titles more gravity and backstory than anything before it. At ringside, Bálor grabbed a steel chair to use on the challengers, but Damian Priest grabbed the weapon from him, earning a huge pop. This distraction allowed for the War Raiders to take advantage, and after a war machine, new World Tag Team Champions were crowned in the main event. This match was good, with solid chemistry between the two teams and a couple of fun sequences down the stretch that kept the fans eager to see more. The fact that Bálor and Priest are continuing their feud may not appeal to fans who believe their situation has run its course, but the presentation here felt fresh enough that it worked. After Raw went off the air, Priest headed to the back, letting the Raiders have their moment, but bumped fists with some fans who were thrilled to see the title change. The question now, though, is whether Triple H can successfully book babyface tag team champions for the long term, or if the Raiders will lose the titles to set up the chase once more. At Saturday night's main event, Cody Rhodes retained the undisputed WWE title against Kevin Owens, only to fall victim to an attack and package piledriver after the show. On Raw, Joe Tessitore went over the injury diagnosis for Cody, as WWE reports he's dealing with axial compression of the cervical spine, as well as a cervical strain with spasm. Tessitore added that Rhodes is now home and is recovering, but this situation will mean that the American Nightmare will miss a major event next week. It was confirmed on Raw that Rhodes will not be a part of WWE's Netflix kickoff event this Wednesday, and instead it'll be Gunther who takes his place. Having Cody miss such an important non-kayfabe event is certainly huge, and goes to show how much WWE are committing to selling the effect of Owens' attack. But what do you make of all this? Are you disappointed that Cody won't be at the kickoff event, and where do you see this feud going? Let us know down in the comments section. With the Intercontinental title on the line, Ludwig Kaiser stepped up to the plate to challenge Bron Breakker, and the German star controlled much of the match. One highlight of the match saw Breakker take Kaiser over the announce table, but immediately begin nursing his left shoulder, and he convincingly sold that he was seriously hurt. It was a quality sell job by Breakker, who's been working on that element of his performance, as even the greats needed to show weakness in the ring. That self-inflicted shoulder injury left Breakker on the defensive, and during the match it appeared as though Breakker's reign was going to end at the hands of the European. In the end, though, Breakker's resiliency brought him back into the fight, and his super spear finisher gave him the come-from-behind victory. This was another strong match between the two, who've shown chemistry in their show-stealing bouts, and Breakker's selling was excellent, while Kaiser continues to grow in every match. The champ retaining was the right call, but Triple H's creative team needs to find a defining win for Kaiser, who continues to exceed expectations and prove himself a face of the company. Fans have gotten a look at the WWE Raw logo, which was revealed in a video by Triple H, though this isn't the first time fans have seen this particular design. As we reported 2 months ago, the logo was first seen on some Mattel figure boxes, but now this design has been made official by the game. The video from Triple H also features snippets of some of WWE's top stars, including CM Punk, Jey Uso, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Uncle Howdy, and Cody Rhodes, but no sign of Gunther. This has led to speculation that the WWE and World Heavyweight Champions could be switching brands as part of the transfer window ahead of Raw's arrival on Netflix. The video also shared the OG bloodline consisting of Roman Reigns and the Usos, leading to further speculation that the group will be a fixture of Raw when the Netflix era begins. Including Uncle Howdy among these top stars also bodes well for his future, while a social media video with LA Knight has teased the megastar could also be moving to Raw. Are you excited at these potential moves, or will it leave SmackDown missing too many of its top names? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. More on Raw, as when Adam Pearce announced that Seth Rollins vs. CM Punk will take place on Raw on Netflix, he did so backstage with an interesting background. Fans spotted that this announcement came in front of a production truck featuring The Rock and Charlotte Flair, both of whom fans are eagerly waiting to see return. Could this be a tease of both Charlotte and Rock being at Raw on Netflix? Only time will tell what's planned for the Queen and the final boss. Fresh off her title defense against Io Sky at Saturday night's main event, Liv Morgan was ready to celebrate her women's world title reign at Raw in Boston. After her win last weekend, Rhea Ripley came out to interrupt, teasing that the Australian isn't finished chasing the title she was never beaten for that Liv now holds. Morgan kicked off Raw's second hour and was pleased to be in Boston with Dirty Dom and Raquel Rodriguez, even if the Boston crowd delivered a chorus of boos to the trio. Morgan, with a megaphone, rubbed it in the faces of fans that this year has been Monday Night Morgan before Ripley arrived to once again interrupt the champion. Ripley shared that this has gone on for far too long and that Adam Pearce has made her the #1 contender and vowed to end Morgan's title reign when they face off. The two shared a verbal exchange, with Ripley closing the segment with a new nickname for Dominik, calling him Liv's Chicken Tenders, which surprised Dirty Dom. Morgan's claim about this year being her year is hard to argue, as she recently surpassed 200 days with the gold she won from Becky Lynch at King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. Since then, Morgan has been on the top of her game without losing a match practically for the entire year, and we'll have to see when Ripley and Morgan have their title match. This is a match fans have waited a long time for, and what's your take on Liv's next direction? Will her reign be ended by Ripley? Let us know down in the comments. This segment bled effortlessly into the next match as Raquel Rodriguez stuck around to take on Zoe Stark and Kaden Carter in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. Carter flew through the ropes onto her opponents and wrestled control away from the two heels as we entered a commercial break, and remained in control after we returned. Carter used her innovative offense to keep her two opponents on the defensive, but late in the match, Raquel fended her off and set Carter up for the Tejana Bomb. Instead of hitting the move, Zoe Stark came from nowhere to hit a missile dropkick that eliminated Rodriguez from the equation and hit a Z360 to get the upset win. The finish was anything but smooth, but Stark winning was a surprise and sets her up to battle her rival Dakota Kai in the semi-final round. Backstage, The Miz tried to escape from being subject to Karrion Kross in the Final Testament, but once again, his efforts to leave this feud with the Wyatt Six was for naught. Instead, Kross shared that Miz will go one-on-one with Dexter Lumis on next week's Raw, in the first singles match for Lumis on Raw since February of last year. This will be just the second singles match in the history of the Wyatt Six, after Uncle Howdy defeated Chad Gable one-on-one during the August 26th edition of Raw. The Miz and Dexter Lumis also have a history as they feuded in 2022, and Kross ended the promo by practically stating that he's using The Miz to target the Wyatt Six. Kross wants to fire the first shot against the Wyatt Six and sees Miz as collateral damage, and eagle-eyed fans may have spotted the number 6 in the background of this segment. There's been a lot of talk about the Wyatt Six gaining a 6th member, with Karrion Kross also discussing the possibility, and could this be a tease of what's to come? We know WWE likes using these subtle hints, especially when it comes to the Wyatt Six, and time will tell if this small 6 is a huge sign of things to come. The New Day have officially been banned from Raw's locker room, and they're pleased to locker room leader Rey Mysterio fell on deaf ears. Kingston and Woods still believe that they've done nothing wrong either to Big E or to their own team, but the pair will have to find somewhere else to change from here on. Woods and Kingston were part of next week's pre-taped Raw, so if you don't want spoilers, skip the next 15 seconds of the video. In their promo, the pair claim that Big E and Raw commentator Wade Barrett are too scared to get back in the ring, teasing a potential tag team match down the line. Tessa Blanchard has stepped back into the TNA spotlight, making waves with her unapologetic take on her return to the promotion. In an eye-opening interview with Joel Torres of Contralona, the polarizing wrestling star confronted swirling rumors addressing both her comeback and her future plans. Though Blanchard clarified she's not currently under contract with TNA, her intentions are crystal clear. She's back to reclaim what she believes is rightfully hers. "My focus is on Jordynne Grace," Blanchard declared. "Impact used to be my domain, my locker room. It's where I made some of the most significant moments in my career. Now I see Jordynne thriving, but things could have been different if I'd never left." Blanchard acknowledged Grace's meteoric rise, but didn't shy away from claiming her absence opened the door for such success. "If I had stayed in TNA, she wouldn't have had this history or these achievements. That's why I'm here, to reclaim what's mine." While her comments hint at unfinished business, Blanchard also revealed her free agent status, saying, "I'm not officially part of TNA right now, but is it a goal? Who knows?" Reports from Fightful Select by Sean Ross Sapp note her in-ring return went smoothly, though her presence behind the scenes has sparked some mixed reactions, with some talent hesitant to fully embrace her comeback. Blanchard's defiant words have ignited speculation of a potential showdown with Grace, leaving fans eagerly awaiting her next move. Could this mark the beginning of her TNA resurgence, or does she have an entirely different agenda? Either way, Blanchard has ensured that the wrestling world remains laser-focused on her evolving story. Back to Saturday night's main event, as those who attended the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum were left fuming before the show began, thanks to the door policy. Despite the plan for doors to open at 6 p.m. Eastern, that did not happen, leaving fans stuck outside in the December cold and souring the atmosphere. One fan tweeted that it was 20 degrees outside and fans weren't being allowed to enter, and added that fans were chanting, "Let us in," due to the cold. In an update, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that last-minute rehearsals ran late, leading to the doors staying shut at 6 p.m., and described the situation as very unusual. Videos of the chanting fans, many donned in their favorite WWE gear, were shared online, as restless fans both young and old tried to keep warm while waiting for answers. This isn't the first time fans have experienced delays at a live event, but the freezing temperatures didn't help matters, with many criticizing WWE for their handling of things. Criticism was also aimed at the Nassau Coliseum for the lack of communication about the holdup, and hopefully there will be better handling of such situations if they occur again. WWE is on a hot streak right now, but this incident serves as a reminder to keep fans happy, both with the in-ring action as well as the wider live experience. Nevertheless, the card for Saturday night's main event delivered plenty of excitement, and hopefully fans were able to warm up once they were finally allowed inside. The saga surrounding WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Jade Cargill's status continues to unfold. On the November 22nd episode of WWE SmackDown, Cargill was shockingly attacked backstage and left sprawled on the hood of a car, a moment that left fans buzzing about WWE's intentions with the angle. Since then, conflicting reports have emerged about her condition. Some claim she isn't injured, others suggest she is, but with an unclear diagnosis, and a recent report from PW Insider even stated that Cargill was simply on vacation in the Bahamas, engaging in non-wrestling ventures. However, a more sobering update has now emerged, courtesy of Brian Alvarez on the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Live. Jade Cargill, by the way, I don't care what you read online, okay? Cargill is injured, and it's serious, and I don't know when she's going to be back. Despite reports of a significant injury, WWE has yet to strip Cargill and her tag team partner Bianca Belair of the Women's Tag Team Championships. Instead, Naomi has stepped in to defend the titles alongside Belair in an upcoming match. This approach is not unprecedented. WWE previously replaced one half of the champions when Piper Niven filled in for the injured Sonya Deville as Chelsea Green's co-champion in 2023. Cargill's condition appears serious enough to have sidelined her from two major events, the Women's War Games match at Survivor Series and the WWE Women's United States Championship Tournament. Her removal, orchestrated by Bayley and Lash Legend respectively, further adds to the uncertainties surrounding her future in the ring. Chad Gable was angry at the Alpha Academy for their silly advertisement from last week and is ready to take out the faction he once led. Gable plans on starting his mission with Akira Tozawa, and the Olympian was all business and is ready to go to war with the group he once considered his friends. And that was this week's Raw, and what did you think of the show? Did it follow up well on Saturday night's main event? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And we're ending with TNA, as PW Insider reports that Trent Seven has parted ways with the company, though the reasons behind his decision remain under wraps at this time. Seven debuted for TNA at last year's Final Resolution as the mystery partner of Mike Bailey and would turn heel on the Speedball earlier this year. TNA's roster is changing, with Jade Chung also leaving, and Josh Alexander and Jordan Grace rumored to leave in 2025, and we'll have to see what's next for Trent after his departure.